got one question for you. Are you ready?
Hey, what is going on, everybody? We have another spectacular guest with us today. What is going on, Drew? And man, I have a really hard time saying your full name with the band.
Jayzeüss Guackamoléy.
Guackamoléy. I was like, this is awesome. That is the coolest name ever, especially knowing that I'm from the Southwest and I like that guacamole. So what's going on, Drew? What's going on, buddy?
What's happening, guys? Glad to be on here.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
buddy.
Jayzeüss Guackamoléy, yeah.
Very
I can
good.
be like walking
Very
around. The name is getting around enough that if I'm walking around here in LA, people will yell, Guacamole or Jayzeüss.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And LA is, and you just said exactly where you're from. You're shooting coming out of a lovely Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
And you also know some of our other friends that we've had on. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Howler Honey. Or
Yeah.
Blood Moon
Ooh.
Howlers, yeah.
Yeah, super great band, and I love them. They are great people. Juju and is just a phenomenal voice, and just amazing band overall. Very great band. So, you know what? This is what we always kick it off with. We're so glad that you're in house. How are you doing, James? Just a quick, how are you doing?
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so, you know what we always have to kick it off with? We're going to go a little bit of dessert. So we're always throwing some desserts down because we got the chef. And I have a little special something today for dessert. But first we go with guests. Did the guest have a dessert today?
A dessert? No.
No, that is okay. But what if you were to bring a dessert? What would be your dessert that you would be bringing to a show? Something that you always love to eat at home or on the road that is like that. I have to have that.
I kind of stopped eating the stuff that I really like. I was a total sugar junkie as a kid. And my favorite dessert that I created at one point when I was about 19 was, see if I can remember it. It was chocolate icing, like cake icing, mixed with Cool Whip, peanut butter, and banana. And it doesn't sound that great, but I think the Cool Whip is the secret ingredient. It was extremely addictive and good.
I agree. It sounds really good. And at 19, he's creating desserts, which is I enjoy. You know, that's the fun thing about food is about the creation part of it. And of course, because we're also a little bit of a food show, we'll ask you some more little food questions here in a bit. But first, I'm going to show you. You know, I always leave Chef for last because he is the boss when it comes down to the cooking. But I'm going to tell you this. What did I bring today? I brought some Reese's. I robbed people's Reese's. I didn't just bring a banana. I brought Reese's, ill-gotten by the fact of the place that I went and actually stole it from somebody's hideout. But I'm stealing from my kids. I'm stealing candy from my kids to enjoy the dessert on this show. But additionally, I wanted to show off a little bit of something, a little tasty that I got over the weekend from a little place called Sweetwater Sound. And I don't know if anybody watches my Instagram, but you should. And this is my new Tasty Lick machine. It is a Taylor 114 CE, which is a acoustic electric. And I bought it because I really like Taylors. I like the feel of Taylors. Really been sold on the Taylor, just on their brand itself. And I've tried several of them now. And this is my first Taylor that I actually purchased. So I'm really excited about it. ready to start recording. So it'll be fun. See what I come up with. So anyway, that's Andy's new tasty lick machine. However, we know that the bearded chef, as always, comes with the dessert. He is a chef. He is professional.
You got the red velvet cupcakes.
Cupcakes?
Ooh.
Yeah, red velvet cupcakes.
Oh, what red velvet cupcakes again?
Yeah.
Red velvet cupcakes.
Love them.
Oh man! You know, red velvet is like next to my favorite, which is of course carrot cake, but super good. Let's give us a recipe. Give us the recipe again. If you want to go get the recipe for amazing chefs desserts, hit them up on Instagram and
I'll share it.
watch this again. Yep.
I will share. Recipe wise, I mean, full ingredients. I can just give you the recipe if you message me. But flour, milk, eggs, vanilla extract, red food coloring, baking powder, a little bit of baking soda, and the icing itself is just a buttercream, softened butter, the confectioner sugar, milk, and vanilla put together. Just a little standard buttercream. And that's about
Love it.
But
Love
full
it.
recipe, you message me.
Go hit up the man. Go hit up the man. So now we're going to come down to the moment where we're always asking a couple questions of our guest. So Drew, what is your go-to on the road food that you have to have either before the gig or while you're on the way to a gig?
You know, it's interesting with food. There is no food that I don't like except grapefruit, but I'm gonna have to say, since I'm playing in Jayzeüss Guackamoléy, it's got to be avocado. You know, it's a superfood. It's easy to eat. I can just peel it open with my fingernails and eat it just like that. Super filling, but not. It doesn't stick around for a long time and repeat when you go. Sometimes I can eat something and then go to perform or sing, and food is starting to come up a little bit if it's like acidic or too greasy or something. That's a good question.
Yeah, that's why I asked that question, actually, because that is something that before you go up, because there's some people that are like, they have this ritual.
Oh, yeah.
They have to eat this. They got to do this. They got to do that. I'm glad that, but grapefruit, that's an interesting one. You'll eat anything but grapefruit.
That's the only food I know of that I don't like.
No.
By the way, I love Howler Honey or Blood Moon Howlers are one of my favorite bands. You mentioned them before. And I saw them on the show, and that's why I contacted you guys. I figured if they were on the show, I might contact you guys.
Well, I totally appreciate it, man. I totally appreciate it. And they're amazing musicians, and so are you, honestly. So let's dive into that a little bit. Let's dive into your music. We know that the two singles that are out everywhere, and we also saw some videos on YouTube and some other things, but the ones that I saw on Apple, you have two of them out right now. And you know what? I am one of those people that I really vibe with what you're singing about. Very uplifting, very, in my opinion, a little spiritual. I enjoy that because that's what I'm all about. And talking a little bit about love and what it really means, and maybe a little bit more of, what it really means to be human and what some of that spiritual, expression that you had. So talk to me about your songs that were out there now, and a little bit about your music itself.
Sure. I think there are 4 singles, 3 on the Drew Jayzeüss Guackamoléy, and there's one called 7 Wonders. I just used the name Drew. I had this experience. You were talking about the spiritual, right? And I had this experience in Switzerland. I played music when I was younger. I had some successes. I had some deals and things like that when I was really young. And I stopped for a bunch of years to do deep, intense healing work. And before that, I had been doing, I'm not a Christian, but I love the St. Francis prayer, if you're familiar. It's about being an instrument for love. And, where there is hatred, to bring the spirit of love, forgiveness, where there is discord, to bring harmony. And I was really doing sincerely with my whole heart and my whole being, and multiple times at the peak of my powers and energy and all kinds of good stuff happening. And then I had about 10 years of just like utter struggle and difficulty. I would wake up from screaming. It was so hard. I would wake up from my own howling as I went through this process that I didn't think was something good. I didn't know there was another side to it. And it ended up being, I did read a couple of things like Ram Dass lectures where he would talk about the dark night of the soul. And I was like, oh, maybe that's what I'm in, I hope, you know. And it was kind of like the cocoon stage or fires of purification. So although it hurt, it was an answer to prayers, and I was being purified more and more because I had to be so compliant with this stuff called love, you know, the energy that animates. If you take it away from the personal, like I love you and you love me, you could use the word love with a capital L, interchangeable perhaps with God or energy or spirit. Right. And so I had to like really work deeply for a very long period of time. And I didn't know I was going to heal or come back. And no music came to me during those years. And then I had a song, I had a cassette 4-track demo that ended up on the radio in Switzerland because the internet got more and more popular and stuff started moving around a little bit. And it ended up in a music conference. And I was so fed up and frustrated that I just went sort of like a Hail Mary to Europe for the first time with a guitar and a backpack. And I sort of landed like a roulette ball in Switzerland. And I started healing the nature there and the harmony there. I wouldn't say they're more peaceful than us as far as humans. They still have the same sort of human condition conflicts, but the place itself pulled me into this ancient healing town. And I went into, you know, even more deep healing work. And finally I found out what the problem had been all those years and had it removed. I had a bunch of infusions for heavy metals. And all that work was working under the surface. All that stuff I was doing, whether it was meditation or reading things or qigong or doing transformational work where I would try to purify and talk to other people to get anything out of my system that was inconsistent with all the great spiritual teachings. And I worked with spiritual healers. I did everything. I did everything. Supplementation, diet, you name it, exercise, everything. And like I said, it was all working under the surface, kind of like a long winter. And finally I healed. Like all the things I had been doing, all these trajectories came to one point and all the dots connected all at the same time. And I healed in a way like a mystical experience. I don't know how else to describe it. It had healing visions. And the first song started to come back and I was flooded in goosebumps that wouldn't go away. And the song was showing up. And tears, you know, I was being moving tears, not sad tears, just moving tears. And I was seeing in my mind's eye, diamonds coming out of my eyes. That's the first song as the channel opened again. And the second song is a song called 7 Wonders that maybe you heard. That's under Drew all over the place, and it's on YouTube. That song was maybe the second song that showed up. And the first line is, I got a new tambourine. And that sort of meant me. I was a new purified instrument. And it basically talks about or speaks of that the divine is in everything. You know, what people call Jayzeüss Guackamoléy, even that title says the same thing. It sort of says that the divine is in the everyday, even in the guacamole. If you believe in, I'm not Christian, right? I'm a Drudist. I don't know what I am. I'm nothing. But that stuff in all those spiritual texts like Christ consciousness or Buddha nature or whatever you might put whatever words you put on it, God. If you believe in God as the totality of everything, then what can all of us be other than that? But we have these ideas that we pick up that there's something wrong with us or other people or the experiences that we're having. And I certainly felt that way when I was going through all that suffering. And the way that I learned it was by going through all that. And the song Dark and Light that I just released, you guys may have heard. I just released that 2 days ago. And it says it in a really simple kind of way I thought when the song came to me. It says, day and night, dark and light, left and right, it's all right. And I was seeing, if everything is a design born of a higher mind, then everything must be just right. And we're like fireflies flashing in one long good night. And I was seeing America much more objectively the 6 years I was in Switzerland. And I could see that division of black, white, male, female, good guys and bad guys, Democrat and Republican. And so this line sort of became againstness and opposition. as opposed to harmony. Like the yin yang symbol shows it as harmony. You know, they're both parts of something, and it's true of all of us. And so that song came to me as sort of like a healing to give to Earth, like a gift for Earth people, you know, as it was happening to me too, because part of what I was suffering from was I had picked up the idea that I think we all do, that something about me wasn't right, that something about me was, you know, bad or wrong. We learned you're good if you do this and you're bad if that. And we sort of get trained into domestication to, you know, conform to the culture, which is all part of it and it's okay. But I was looking for what was wrong with me for years. I was doing 12-step programs and therapy and studying, was like, something must be wrong with me. And finally, when I healed part of it, this is just part of it, was it came to me that, number one, nothing's wrong with me at all. And nothing's wrong with you or anybody. Nothing is wrong with anything, except that we picked up the idea, which again is part of it. Even that's right. And then I also found with all that deep introspective work for a long time, you know, is that not only was there nothing wrong with me, there was also nothing there in a way. It was like an idea entity or an identity that I've been sort of doing an archaeological dig around, like, what is this? And what is this belief? And what is this trait? You know, where did all this come from? And what does it mean? You know, we're not the identity. I think we're more like, or the ego that we have also pathologized, and there's nothing wrong with the ego. It's just a tool. Like David Bowie used his ego artfully, you know, and Mick Jagger does. But I see it now like the identity is more like a thing that we experience, and we're more the space. We're more like the sky, and we experience weather or personality or humanness or whatever. But I think we're more the emptiness or the space or the observer or the awareness. I think that's like the God self, the kingdom of heaven, the territory of the invisible part of us inside. That was a long answer. I hope I didn't take up too much space with that.
That was awesome.
All right, beautiful. Thanks.
No, I totally vibe with that. So as most people know, or some people know, in a prior life, well, not even a prior life, I still am a Buddhist meditator, but I taught meditation for 5 or 6 years. So I totally understand the vibe, exactly why you went through the path and journey that you went on. And again, it's all journey. And I think that this is what I really think is cool about music, is the fact that you have this experience and you're able to share it with others, and other people can vibe with it and get maybe something for themselves out of your experience. And I think that that's what music is universal about, which is so amazing. But especially I love the poetry that you're talking about in your music. I mean, it is poetry. But it's like enlightened mind that's coming out and saying, hey, here's my experience right at this moment, and the words. And I love the fact that you had it in your head and you couldn't get rid of it. You know, it was like something that you had to you had to go record. So I vibe with that big time. It's cool.
Yeah, it's just like a mellow. It's just, like I said, it's a good vibe. It has a good word to it, and you kind of just go with the flow. I mean, like I said, if you're in a down space and kind of need to relax and kind of come back down, I mean, you can listen to your music and literally just kind of decenter to where you were. You know what I'm saying? And kind of just listen to the message that you're putting out.
Yeah, I was trying to, you know, when you up anywhere and they asked for a genre, and I was like, I don't know what genre it is. So I came up with something like earth, funk, groove, pop, healing, retro, future music, or something like that. It really is. Even for me, I felt so good coming back after all that time. I mean, I can't even describe how good I felt. It was like a union. It was like a golden waterfall of light was pouring through me and turning into music. And it was like spring after a 12-year winter. And
nice.
So it felt so good to me when it was happening that I was sure that it would affect other people. And what a joy to share. Like some of the music I made when I was younger, you know, I had my sort of like, not just anger, like healthy sort of like rocket propellant, youthful, like Guns N' Roses, Rage Against the Machine, Nirvana. That's sort of like, hey, no more oppression. You know, you're breaking out of being oppressed. Or NWA. I was listening to a lot of all that music. And then I had a stage with really sad music. It was sort of like, I think the grief of like not ever going to be sort of normal or something like that, or conformed. It was sort of like knowing, you know, I was going to be this, you know, end up being this, as opposed to being a banker. And there's nothing wrong with being you know, everybody has their spot, but I'm sure you guys know what I mean. Like not being sort of mainstream, like you're a meditator and you do Buddhism. That's a solo, for me anyway. A lot of that is going within. It's not really lonely, but I think it is sort of like not with the crowd so much. It's not really television news. You're not really in there in a way. I didn't feel like I was. But the exploration, that frontier, the inner frontier, I think is everything that we're looking for on the outside. I think it's all right in us all the time, everything that we're looking for. And I'm sure like you, what you end up with is, it's almost like tapping into, I know when a song is coming from my mind, you know, or like the collective mindset, and when it's coming from infinite intelligence or the, you know, the infinite, the divine mind, when it shows up and I'm just sort of transmitting it, there's a difference between those two. And I started seeing it recently. I was talking to somebody and I was like, it's almost like tapping into the harmony of the universe. You're tapping into this infinite harmony, and you sort of take a ride, or it takes me on a ride as a song, right? And you catch it. I sort of catch it. It shows up for 3, 4, 5 days, or 3 weeks, or 3 months, or however long it takes to sort of birth the song. It could be 5 minutes, could be 5 months, you know. But it's sort of, it's like this ride, and it's in my head, and I'm catching it, and I'm picking it up, and lyrics are coming, and it's almost like taking that ride, putting it into form, and then other people can ride on it too, over and over again. Because a great song or a great film or any great work of art kind of like, it kind of pulls you in and it takes you on this trip. And if it's a good one, you don't know, you're not thinking about it's a movie, or you're not thinking about it's a song. You're just taken on this little journey, as you called it, you know, a little movement, a movement here in infinity. And I feel like it's such a gift after going through that sad period of sort of, all right, I'm not going to be a normal, I'm not going to be a doctor or a lawyer or a banker. I'm doing this. And I would read Rilke, Letters to a Young Poet, you know, things like that to get me through. And it took me to it, or there's a Bukowski poem called All the Way. And he says something in it like, you know, if you're going to try it all, go all the way. You might end up on a park bench. You might end up with nobody. You might end up, you know, harangued and hassled and blah, 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 blah. But then he says something like, I forget exactly, but he says, you know, the nights will flare with fire, or something really beautiful in Bukowski's, you know, speak. I don't quote other people very well, but I'm too busy quoting Dr. Jayzeüss Guackamoléy, so forgive me.
I love it, man. That's cool. I totally vibe with it, and I totally get what you're saying. I think it's interesting how we have the ability, and you're right. That's the reason why I started meditating, was because I found that most of my problems were internal, and I needed to take a look at something differently. And I think that what music helps me with, and I think especially when I hear your music, I was thinking, you can hear the greatness in, I like the harmonies in it, but I was also thinking that the message you're trying to convey is something that is bigger and more important than what just maybe somebody just going through a dial. I love that about your music, is the fact that your message is something to inspire. Right. And I think that we're missing that in a lot of what we call pop. You know, I think that there's some stuff that's, great vocals, but it is inspirational. Now, I will say this. I can tell that Howler Honey, your friend, those folks, when we think about their music writing, I think of the same thing, where you found some friends that are vibing with you because both of you are inspired by the same space, which is what's in your heart, and expressing it into your music. And that's what I see. I vibe with that kind of, especially when I hear what you're saying, because I totally understand where you were at. Eckhart. So for people who don't know who Eckhart Tolle is, he's a current on the like list of most spiritual people in the world. And the guy went through an amazing, like a very sudden enlightenment phase in his life. And he sat on a park bench for months. I mean, it was almost like 6 months. And
I thought it was 3 years.
It's something. I knew it was it was like more. I couldn't remember the length of time, but it was like forever. Yeah. And then he realized that just the realizations that he had, that there was nothing to this being in the here and the now, in that mindfulness mindset, really is where the real life is and where it should stay. Because, you know, we're always so worried about what's happened to us, and we're worried about what's going to happen next. Right. So we get caught in that. And I think that music that helps inspire you, and especially talking to you now, I love that that's what you're about, because that's what I'm about. That's exactly the DNA that I think all of us have in us. And that's what I teach. You know, I teach that everybody's a treasure. And I think that what you're inspired by, your music is inspiring others to hear that kind of message. I love that. That's, to me, that's why I do podcasts and things like that, is for that same reason.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. We're definitely aligned. And
yeah,
I think there's some art or writing or whatever that comes from that place, like Eckhart Tolle, for example. I think he said when he went to write that first book, and he's spoken about how you can tell when something comes from stillness, he calls it, you know? And that's that difference between it arriving or me. Like I had this songwriting gig for a while, and it was fun at first. You know, they would send me like electronica, and I would write lyrics and melodies and then go sing them. And it was fun, and I would write these fun poppy tunes like Smiling or Brighter Attitude. You know, it was kind of fun. But they weren't really the ones that just show up by themselves. And because you're thinking and trying to rhyme and all that stuff, you know. And there's a big difference, I think, between like art where the person wants to get something. It's almost like taking as opposed to giving, where you're sharing from a place, from tapping into that wholeness or that stillness. And I think that's the real work of any like real artist, is that they're able to do that work that you're talking about, that you do, so that it comes from that spacious present without really. I have another song, there's a line in it that says, what can you do with nothing to do? And what can you lose with nothing to lose? And then it has this part that goes, it opens up for a second and it answers the question, because it occurred to me that if there's no agenda, like for example, I live near Venice Beach, right? And after I had this big healing, similar to Eckhart Tolle, before I knew that happened, that was what happened after he was enlightened. Or I didn't know the Buddha's life, where he went outside and meditated. He was homeless. You know what I mean? Literally, he was under a tree for a long time. Or Jesus, or Bill Wilson had nowhere to live for a long time when he was starting the 12-step programs. Mary Baker Eddy. So these people had these like healings, and they kind of couldn't go back into the world, the worldly ways. They just needed to sort of be for a while. And I came back from Switzerland, and I stayed with a buddy for a little while in LA near Hollywood. And then I was in a hotel for like a month and a half. And I was getting my strength ready to go to the beach with my guitar and just sort of like be with Earth for a while. Because I made it through that experience. I made it to sort of like, I didn't know if I was going to make it. I really didn't know. And when I finally got it, was sort of like getting to the top of the mountain. And my last name even means climber, which I didn't know. But I got to the top of, you know, this mountain that I was climbing. But I, just like a mountain climber, I was burned out. I was exhausted at the end of it. So you sort of like make your way back down, and like, you know, you've been in an avalanche and you have frostbite and your buddy died, and, you know, you make it back down, ecstatic that you made it, but also I was really burned out too. And I just had to keep writing these songs. I couldn't walk away from this music that showed up. It turned into concepts for a band and comic books and a video concept for each song. And this work came to me, this music work that it works in sequence as one work, as one movement of music. And those are a few of the songs that I've shared so far. And so not dissimilar to Tolle and some other people, I just needed to be me, and I needed to be with nature, and I didn't want to live where I had to play anybody's game at all. And so I was in Venice Beach, busking and wandering around for a little while. It wasn't terrible. It was uncomfortable at times. I wasn't in like a tent, but I was on couches and in vans. And I had a little spot where I slept outside sometimes, in this beautiful little nook in a building that I found. And just sort of lived in the moment. I didn't have any mail. I didn't have any agenda. And I realized that like the people out there making art, that what we think is the bad thing, having nothing, is the best place to create something new. Like the blues came from people who seemed to have nothing, right? Black slaves. Hip hop came from people who seemed to have nothing. These dudes in the street making music with their mouths, and that's it, and a piece of cardboard to dance on. And they created, both of those things inspired rock and roll, all the stuff that I play, and funk, and like everything else came from the blues, came from people who seemed to have nothing. And all those people we're talking about, Jesus, Eckhart Tolle, the Buddha, Lao Tzu, Bill Wilson, Mary Baker Eddy, like they all had nothing. And so having nothing, it's almost like to drop everything. And I also got rid of every possession I had when I left Switzerland, except for a backpack and a guitar. I didn't want anything. I gave away my guitars. I gave away everything, family pictures. And it was one of the most freeing experiences of my life. And in that space of being no thing and nobody and just here, that's when the purest, most beautiful stuff happens, at least for me. And even now, like I'm doing a lot of I'm releasing things and promoting and rehearsing and gigging and busking. And I just went to Las Vegas to help play with this band of blind dudes, which was a really cool experience in Las Vegas.
Nice.
But I'm so busy again with all this other stuff that all the songs I'm writing are like half done, and I have, you know what I mean? Like that part, I really miss that part. And so finding a balance between those two, because I don't really want to go back into the world the way I was before.
Right.
That's where a good manager would come in handy. More worldly person,
That's awesome. You went through that, and then you kind of came out.
And I also know one other thing. Sorry, what?
Oh, no, you're good. I know. I said it's a good thing that you. I mean, in a way, it's a good thing we kind of went through that because you found yourself at the end. You know what I'm saying? When you got to the top, you kind of found yourself, and now you're a little bit more free. I guess, like I said, you don't want to go back to that, so you're kind of more freer than where you were to where you are now. So you kind of, improved. Gotten away from that. You know what I'm saying? How you were. So that's awesome.
The thing you use the word free, and the thing I think I was freed of most was the fear that if I didn't sort of stay in the culture with, a full-time job, working really hard and kind of going crazy and squashing my gifts and talents and not having the space for music to show up.
Right.
I was afraid that if I didn't do it, I would end up with nothing. So finally I got rid of everything to face the fear and said, fuck it, what can happen? And I wanted to face the fear. And there was never a moment that entire trip, I was like a roulette ball again here in America. And number one, I ended up in a house, right? I live in this house now in Santa Monica where I get paid to live here a little bit. And it's in a, one of the most beautiful places in the world. There's like 10 fruit trees on the property for like 3 years.
Wow.
I've been in this house. It's a dream situation. And it came from letting go of all that stuff. Like we have to, the space has to be there. So yeah, you're right. It freed me from the fear of embarrassment. I think that can keep us like, oh wait, we won't be part of the group that we're supposedly, belonging to or something. And I was like, screw it. People can think what they want, Jimi Hendrix must have felt like an outsider, all these people who have all done really cool things had to deal with, like he was really homeless, essentially he didn't fit. People ridiculed him and made fun of him for looking so weird, Little Richard, same thing. But they get past it. They go, screw it. I'm going through the fear. I'm going to feel fear. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger said, he had done, speaking of meditation, he was he was already the bodybuilding champion of the world, which is a huge achievement, right? And he was from Austria, and he came here and he became the bodybuilding champ. He was really well off financially, and then he wanted to go into Hollywood. And he started experiencing extreme anxiety, this big, strong, macho, confident dude. So we started doing meditation. He didn't go away from it. He faced the fear.
Right.
That's the difference between, a champion or success or happiness and not, is staying in that fear system with other scared people and going, yeah, it is all bad, and let's watch the news and get more scared and talk about that and then create more of that fear-based sort of reality.
Right.
I'm not saying people shouldn't watch the news, but I stopped because it just made me feel so bad all the time. It was like,
True.
go, in today's top story, something bad happened. Something bad is going to happen. You were talking before about, the projecting into the future and having, from the past. So like these bad things happen, so therefore other bad things are going to happen. And the news is kind of crack for that. It kind of lures people in,
Right.
dangles that carrot out there of fear. And then they sell stuff during the commercials that make you feel better. Like, oh, I have this ice cream or this car or, or whatever it is, this cologne.
Yeah,
Now
that's
that
true.
we make you feel afraid, we're going to make you feel better with these products. And I think
that's what they thrive on, to be honest with you. That's
Yeah.
really actually what they thrive on, is the fear that you're not going to fit in and you need to be something. And I totally get what you're saying. I vibe with that totally. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Very nice.
So it is about 15 minutes left. And I know that you wanted to sing some songs for us and would love to hear some of your music live and vibe with it. I absolutely, I dig the whole, what you're saying, man. I totally get what you're saying. I know exactly what you're talking about. So, it's really cool that you came on the show and were able to express yourself this way. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it too. It's great talking with you guys. I felt like this total opening to that subject matter. So
Yeah, right on, man.
yeah. So this is the should I play it now?
Yeah, go ahead. Please do.
This is the Jayzeüss Guackamoléy theme song. It's a fun tune, so I'll play this one. Ladies and gentlemen, crash landing in the Avocado guac ship from another dimension, the guackinest band in the galaxy from the Drewniverse. Jayzeüss Guackamoléy. Looking up and down our bodies. Do you think that you are somebody? Do you think that you are somehow better than G? Do you think that you come from some special family? 'Cause it's all a game. Oh, sugar bear, here in these brains and bodies, we're all the same. Ain't nothing different about you but the earth you're wearing. Back from 4 foreign lands. We got the plan and we got the band, and we're called Jayzeüss, Jayzeüss, Jayzeüss Guackamoléy. Jayzeüss Guackamoléy. Jayzeüss, Jayzeüss, Jayzeüss Guackamoléy. Yeah, 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 yeah. Holy, 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 holy moly. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Smile, smile, smile. See your funny faces and harmony. You know where you are. You're in the universe, baby. You're gonna live. The space drums. Jayzeüss, Jayzeüss, Jayzeüss Guackamoléy. Jayzeüss, Jayzeüss Guackamoléy. Yeah, 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 yeah.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Can I play another one?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Please do.
This is called Let It Ride. I've never played this live or recorded. Coming down from being high on J&G, yeah. Got a case of surrender and a pack of infinity. Oh, baby, let it ride. Oh, oh, baby, let it ride. Nothing better than just kicking it here with G, yeah. We got each other and we got reality. Oh, baby, let it ride. 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 Oh, baby, let it ride, 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 baby. Baby, let it ride, 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 ride. Ride, 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 ride. Ride, 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 baby, let it ride. Yeah. Should I play more?
Play as much as you want, my friend. It's awesome.
Yeah, okay. What was I thinking of playing? While I was playing, I was thinking of a song to play.
No, we always appreciate when we get a live performance. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we love it. It's awesome, man.
Awesome. Beautiful. I was thinking of it too while I was playing and I forgot. I'll play this one. The first single I put out from that whole experience. It's called Seven Wonders. Because this is one with I Got a New Tambourine. It's the first there. I got a new tambourine. It's silver, gold, and green. It's got this jangling rang and it brightens up my thing. So much that it's had to sing. Seven wonders, they say. Seven wonders in the world, they say. Open up a ears to get to see one each and every day. Seven wonders, they say. Seven wonders in the world, they say. Open up a heart, you get to be one each and every day. I took a walk by the shore. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, man, that river shall flow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's got this swooshy swang and it sweetens up my swag. So much that it's had to sing. Seven wonders, they say. Seven wonders in the world, they say. Open up a ears and get to see one each and every day. Seven wonders, they say. Seven wonders in the world, they say, yeah. Open up a heart and get to be one each and every day. I wrote this song here today. It wrote itself, I should say. Ooh, yeah. It's by a force now, man. He forced the land away. So much that he's had to say. Seven wonders, they say. Seven wonders in the world, they say. Open up your ears, you get to see one each and every day. Seven wonders, they say. Seven wonders in the world, they say. Open up a heart, you get to be one each and every day. Seven wonders, they say. Yeah, 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 yeah. In the world, they say. Open up a heart, you get to be one each and every day. Seven wonders, they say. Yeah, 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 yeah. In the world, they say. Yeah. Open up your heart, you get to be one each and every day. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Love it, man. That's awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
That was beautiful. And, you know, I love it. Seven Wonders. Love it. Love it. So talk to me a little bit about, and we'll have you play one more, if you don't mind playing one more after this. I'm trying to, but what kind of so when we're talking through this, I get that something is vibing through you to be able to pick up that. Now, what made you move to like LA to, where are you from LA, or did you move a lot of musicians move to LA to be part of the music scene, but what kind of like, hey, I need to be in LA and do this thing?
Yeah, you know, I grew up in I was born in New York City, and I grew up in a little town just north, like 15 miles north of New York City. My dad played trumpet and he would commute in and out of the city, and he wanted his kids to have a yard. And so I was in there and out of there, and we were supposed to move out here when I was young, and we didn't, and we came out a couple of times. And then I came out in my 20s. I was living in the city, and I just couldn't kind of deal with the noise. Actually, I'm super sensitive ears, and it's like crowded, noisy, and tiny apartments, and it's a beautiful, vibrant place, but it was too much for my system. And I came out here on a road trip with my buddy, my bandmate actually at the time, Virgil, and we stopped at about, I wanted to see the country, as an adult, and we stopped at about maybe 8 or 9 different places across the country, and I was going, man, I don't know about this. I don't know where I would live in this country, because I didn't really feel connected to any of the places. There are a lot of other places. I didn't see the whole country, but I didn't feel good anywhere except Sedona was really pretty beautiful, but also kind of remote. It didn't, very nature oriented. And then we pulled into LA. We were in Vegas, and we left Vegas at 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning or something, because I like to drive overnight when there's no traffic. And the reason I'm telling you this is because my entrance into Los Angeles was not sexy and romantic. It was the 101 freeway during rush hour on a weekday morning, and we got off in Hollywood, and there's like a Denny's and a gas station. So it doesn't seem like it would be a beautiful entrance into a city. And all I can say is that, after stopping and, driving across the entire country and stopping all over the place, I had this feeling it had nothing to do with anything other than this place. I felt totally at home, like the feeling in the traffic. I don't like traffic, but there's a feeling of this place. And it wasn't about music business or industry. It was about, it's a city, and there's culture. There's every language, every religion, every kind of tree, all nature is covered. Every kind of skin, there's white people aren't the majority. It's like Latinos and black people and white people and Asian people. It seems to me to be a place on earth. Maybe there are other places where every place on earth is in one place, equally distributed. And so I just felt like in the sea of humanity and culture and music, and the bands that came out of here. I was thinking about this recently. As much as with people, I feel more familiar with people from New York, just because I understand it, but I kind of got tired of aggression and hostility and being in a rush and moving real fast, and the sort of tough guy thing was just sort of, I was tired, of the place. I love it there, but I was tired of it. And I was thinking about the bands from New York City, as great as they are, as legendary as the Ramones or Blondie or Talking Heads, and these are great bands, right? But then you think about some of the bands from LA, and it's more like a mystical thing with the Doors and Jane's Addiction and the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Rage Against the Machine. There's something here that I felt when I got here that you called, you said the word spiritual before. Maybe that would be the word. And the other thing is New York is bedrock, right? It's New York City and these big towering buildings, and it is rock underneath there. It is. You go to Central Park, or if you dig in New York, it's rock is underneath. And here it's it moves here with earthquakes and the ocean, and people skateboard, and I do slacklining now, where you're standing on this thing and it's moving underneath you. And so I felt like I was more in this moving place. And people kind of come in and out of your life, which at first was weird for me. And now it's fine. I have a lot of solid people and a community here just from being here and hanging and finding the right people. So the short answer to your question would be, for some reason, I feel really at home here. I love it. I love Los Angeles. Not the idea of Hollywood. I'm not in the industry. I'm on the West Side in Santa Monica. And Venice Beach is one of the coolest places in the whole world. That place is I can leave my house if I'm on the computer and working too hard, or just inside working. And I just need human contact. I can just on a scooter or bicycle or whatever, go to the boardwalk and walk south, and something cool will happen. I'll meet somebody, or I'll run into people I know, or there will be a drum circle, or the electric bicycle parade will go by, or people are doing yoga everywhere, or ecstatic dance on the beach. Like I'm in paradise. All I have to do is 12 blocks away, and I'm connected to a really cool sort of part of humanity. So where are you guys from anyway?
Go ahead, James.
I'm actually originally from California. I lived in Garden Grove, not far from LA. And I'm in Florida right now.
Oh, cool.
And I'm in Phoenix.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I lived in Florida. I lived in Florida and I've been to Phoenix.
Yeah. Yeah. Phoenix is cool. I like it. Well, you've been to Sedona. Sedona's really Sedona's like one of those places that has that vortex and a lot of spirituality around it. And so I vibe with Sedona. It's a cool place. I went to school at NAU, which is Northern Arizona University, if I can spit it out. And so we went down to Sedona a lot. It's like my second home. I just absolutely love Sedona. It's like, if you want to go see outdoors at its best, Sedona is one of the places in the world that you should go. It's just beautiful there. Absolutely beautiful.
Incredible.
Yeah, and those red rocks that just pop out, and then there's some canyons in the back that you can just follow a stream for miles and just be back in nowhere. It's just really cool. I vibe with that quite a bit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I could feel the magic immediately.
Yeah, that vortex, there's a lot of people. We go to a place called where you can actually see Cathedral Rock, but it's called it's Buddha Beach, and there's a lot of cairns that are those people standing up rocks on top of each other. It's kind of a trail thing. It's also a Buddhist thing. And I'll go there and meditate, and it's just absolutely one of those most peaceful, harmonious places that you can go to. And I've been there a lot of times, and it's just really beautiful there.
Awesome.
Totally vibe. Yeah, you'll see Buddhist monks just walk. And my tradition is more Tibetan, but you'll see different types of Buddhists. I'll see Zen Buddhists, and it's just a really cool place to go and just hang out and just meditate and be kind of one with nature, and just kind of get out of Phoenix. I love to get out of Phoenix, and so just like you, I just absolutely love to get connected again. So yeah,
I was in Phoenix in the summertime, and
that's not a tough.
I had something in the car and it melted, like some kind of I think it was a tape recorder.
Oh,
it just melted in the car.
That's Phoenix. That's Phoenix. That's another reason why we go up to Sedona. It's about 30 degrees cooler.
Is it? Yeah,
it is hot in Phoenix. Yeah, that's the only thing is that the only difference between it's like our winter is summer for us. We just don't go outside. It's just too hot to go outside and do much. I mean, you'll go out, but you won't be out there very long. And but if you go up to Sedona's like this beautiful place where there's running water everywhere, beautiful rock, a lot of hiking. And you can go anywhere. I mean, there's just so many places in Sedona to go and hike and do that stuff. And it's just like a retreat. You can get in the water, kind of chill out. It's cooler. And then you can also, if you want to, go up to Flagstaff. There's a beautiful pine country up there. And then one at my center that I'm attached to with the Buddhist temple that I go to, there's a center that's in Williams, Arizona, which is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So yeah.
Do you guys do the Nam Myoho Renge Kyo at your thing, or?
I don't know what that is actually.
Oh, it's a chanting.
I have actually heard somebody came to my thing and we do these mantras. So Tibetan, we do mantra resuscitation during prayers and during, just to kind of connect with the different Buddhas. But we're not constantly chanting. We'll do in the middle of a prayer, we might have a mantra that's Sanskrit, and for those who don't know, which will be to the Buddha that we're doing the prayer for, to get connected with that Buddha. And then but I do know that there's different groups that they're about resuscitation of mantras. I don't remember. Maybe that's the name of the group that does it. Yeah, one of my friends, yeah. Go ahead.
I know we have a delay. Sorry about that.
There you go.
Yeah, I was talking about it's interesting how many different types of Buddhism that there are. It's a trip,
Yep.
And
there's
hundreds.
hundreds.
I went for a while. I was invited to go do the chanting. It was cool. I wrote a song one time from chanting.
Oh, that's cool, man.
I felt this pull while I was doing Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho, and I was like, get up. The message came, get up and pick up your guitar. and a really beautiful song. Maybe I should play that one since I just spoke about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I remember it because I have a lot of songs and I have to practice them all the time to remember them.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah, you can play whatever you want, man. We're almost at time, so this will be the last song. But man, I vibe with it totally. Yeah, whatever you want to play.
I'll play the song I just released called "Dark and Light." Since I know
cool. Right on, man. Right on.
Hey, is there enough light in here right now? Yeah, it looks okay.
Yeah,
all right, thanks,
fine.
guys.
Yeah.
I know I'm a little out of tune. Special tuning. Day and night. Dark and light. Left and right. It's alright. If everything is a design, born of a higher mind, then everything must be just right. And we're like fireflies flashing in one long good night. I know you're right. You and me, you and me, and you and me, they and thee, they and thee, and they and thee, she and he is all we eat. If everything is a design, born of a higher mind, then everything must be just right. We're like fireflies flashing in one long good night. I know you're right. I know you're right. I know you're right. I know you're right. Ba, 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 ba. The capo doesn't go on that last string. Here we go. There it is. This acoustic is like, when somebody gave me this and I didn't like it at first. It's a Spanish acoustic. And then I learned to love this guitar. It's cracked. The body is cracked. 2 tuning pegs are broken. I've been taking it to the beach. It's got this cool sticker on it, Jayzeüss Guackamoléy. But it doesn't really tune that well anymore because it's so beat up, but I love it. So I play it anyway.
Yeah.
I'd rather be a little out of tune.
I think instruments are like children. You know, they just grow on you and you just love them through their time, right? So, yeah, I love that. That's cool, man. Well, you know what? We're at time. We totally appreciate. James, I'll let you go first. Do you have any last things or last thoughts?
No, man, it's been awesome. I know it was kind of like a last minute kind of. We only had like a day to kind of get stuff ready, but or actually just today we found out that you were on. You know what I'm saying? So we only had a little bit of time to promote you, but from now on, I mean, we'll promote anything you kind of put out. You know what I'm saying? So we look forward to seeing what you got, and I mean, any plans or what you have moving forward, or what do you have in the future?
I have 4 more singles to release that are recorded. I'm going to do videos for them, probably.
Nice.
And then I have 2 EPs to release that are, one is sort of an acoustic solo one, and the other one is the Drew Jayzeüss Guackamoléy, more conceptual, fun, less acoustic and music and
Nice.
musical. So yeah, a lot of work up ahead. And then I was telling you guys about that. I got invited to go to Las Vegas to play with this a blind band at this blind center. and we weren't really sure what I was going to bring. And so I sent them 2 songs, Seven Wonders and that last song, Dark and Light, I thought was maybe fitting, to send to them.
Yeah.
And they liked it, and they interpreted that last song as a reggae tune. So I show up and I'm like, I have to learn the song, you know what I mean? Because I had to sing at different keys, different spots. And they're talking about, it was such a good experience. And the news program came, and we're talking about going back in 6 months and doing a concert, possibly.
Nice.
So I would love to. And they were really good. They were way more disciplined and hardworking than anybody I play with out here. It was a pleasure to play with them because they were on it. They went, let's go, over and over, 4 hours a day, working. It was great.
So
that's
really cool.
Yeah, that's some stuff. And nice meeting you, James.
Yeah, nice meeting you too, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, this was really fun. We really enjoy. Go check out his music. We will have links in our description. And man, what a vibing time. This is really cool. I didn't know what to expect, and I really had a good time. And anytime that I get to share a little bit of my own, and get kind of vibe with somebody else who's been there as well, I always enjoy that. So this was a great discussion. And I love what you're doing, man. I appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing from you again.
Yeah, and for me, man, it really is. I'm not exaggerating or just saying this. It's a pleasure and an honor to come on your guys' show. I feel totally welcomed.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, Nicole was really cool, and she was totally on it. Was she like your production person?
Yeah, she's good people. She's good people.
Yeah, I just feel at home and aligned with you guys. So I'm really glad to meet both of you.
Right on,
to be
man.
on the show, man. So thanks so much, and I too will promote you guys and check you out.
Appreciate it. Well, everybody who is out there in land, we will be back next week. I think we have a cool TikTok band that I found, and so that'll be really fun. And so, yeah, totally awesome, very different. I don't think I've interviewed anybody off of TikTok that I found. So, but again, go check out this, and we have all of his stuff, all of his links. Jayzeüss Guackamoléy. You can't beat that. You will not forget that name, folks. No. And again, his music is really good. He also goes by Drew with that other song that he was talking about, and absolutely love it. So we will catch you guys next week. Have a good stay tasty.
Stay tasty.
Thanks, guys.